The Democratic Party has gotten so unbelievably extreme that they did something almost unthinkable yesterday. So here's what happened yesterday. Yesterday, brought up for a vote was the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. It was offered by Senator Ben Sasse, who was on the program a couple of weeks ago talking about all this in the midst of the Ralph Northam controversy in Virginia. You'll recall that Ralph Northam went on a radio show where he suggested that babies that were born alive in botched abortions, maybe they should be kept comfortable while the mother and the doctor decided what to do with the babies. He said that he was talking about normal end-of-life care. He said that kind of post hoc. But in the interview, he said, if a baby is born alive, maybe the baby has a viability issue, or maybe the baby just has a severe deformity, then we'll keep the baby comfortable until we decide what to do with it. His statements were a little broader than just end-of-life care. The baby's not viable. Do we pull the plug or not? In any case, Kathy Tran was even clearer about it on the floor of the Virginia House of Delegates when she said a baby should be aborted basically in the birth canal is totally fine. And then the state of New York passed a law, and the state of New York's law was so wildly extreme that it actually got rid of an already existing point of law in New York that protected infants that were born alive during botched abortions, which is fully crazy. Well, last night there was a vote in the Senate, and by a vote of 53 to 44, the Senate failed to pass the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. That was 53 votes in favor, 44 votes against. You need 60 votes to clear the filibuster. The bill needed 60 votes. Just 3 Democratic senators crossed the aisle to vote with Republicans in favor of legislation that was specifically designed to protect infants that were born alive during abortions, to get rid of any distinction in law between infants born alive for any reason and infants born alive during abortion. Mitch McConnell has a column talking about exactly why this was necessary in a piece for the Kentucky Courier-Journal, the Louisville Courier-Journal. He said, I announced to Senate Majority Leader that we would vote on the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. The bill, on which I'm proud to be an original co-sponsor with nearly 40 of my colleagues, would direct any physician present when a baby survives an abortion to provide medical assistance the same way they would for any other child who's born alive at that stage. In short, it requires that doctors treat these babies with the attention and care they deserve. Apparently, Ben Sasse tried to seek an agreement to expedite the passage of the legislation, and Democrats held that up. They blocked the passage of the bill. And Senator McConnell says that the bill is necessary, again, because of laws like that in the state of New York, which is true. Again, the state of New York obliterated a provision of law that provided additional protections for babies that were born during botched abortions. Now, here's the thing. The case that Democrats are making against this thing doesn't make any sense. I've been trying literally all night and this morning, I've been trying to find why exactly Democrats object to this bill. Why exactly is there anything wrong with this bill? They say, well, there's already a bill on the books, 2002, the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, that says that if a child is born alive, then it is to be treated as any other baby would be. So why exactly is this bill necessary? We're not going to vote for it. The problem is that Democrats constantly vote for bills that are unnecessary but are morally good. So, for example, last week there was a bill that was passed. It was a federal anti-lynching bill. Is that really necessary to make lynching a federal crime? Not really on a practical level, because it's already a state crime to murder somebody. And there's state anti-lynching laws in the vast majority of states across the United States. So why was a federal law necessary? The answer was it wasn't really necessary in practical terms, but it was a morally good thing to do, and so it passed with flying colors, I believe a unanimous vote, in the United States Senate. Suddenly, Democrats have decided they don't like extraneous and unnecessary legislation. This is a weird thing. Sasse said in a speech in the Senate on February 4th that Ralph Northam had endorsed infanticide. He said the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act prohibits exactly the kind of infanticide Northam was addressing. The bill requires that a baby that is born alive must then be transferred to a hospital and away from an abortion clinic, because we don't actually trust abortion doctors not to do a Kermit Gosnell and just kill babies that are already born. The case that Democrats are making against this makes no sense. So Leanna Wen is the president of Planned Parenthood. Here's what she said. She said, this legislation is based on lies and a misinformation campaign aimed at shaming women and criminalizing doctors for a practice that doesn't exist in medicine or reality. Then why are you objecting to it? I'm confused. If this never happens, then what are you worried about? What are you worried is the actual practical ramification of this legislation? Why do you need 44 Democrats to vote against a piece of legislation saying if a baby is born alive during a botched abortion, then you can't kill it? Really, if you say that never happens, okay, fine, so it never happens. So what's the downside? What's the downside? If you can't explain the downside, you're going to have to vote for the bill. Really, there's no real excuse to not to vote for it.